Both the government and the opposition fail to comprehend what affordable housing is within all of their policy mixes. Affordable housing has to be a part of a whole part of the economy. It is not just all in itself. Affordable housing means to have A, the answer to the question, who is it affordable to? And B, what is the connection between wages and actually the price of housing? When you link the economy, the success or failure of an economy, and you link into that the increased pricing of housing, you end up with a serious problem of determining what is affordable housing, because you have a contest continually happening because you want to see rising expenditure on housing, and you also want to see affordable housing. That puts you in conflict because of the rising prices of housing will show economic activity if that's a measure. And that will make it look like it's very good. And yet, the very increase in the prices of housing actually is a detriment to what is called affordable housing. What are the problems with affordable housing? I mean, I'm referring to affordable housing for the average person. Who is the average person? There's no such animal. What I'm referring to is a person with an income of around about $50,000 a year. If we target that area, if we make it affordable for somebody on at least $50,000 a year to purchase, and for those who are on pensions and government benefits, we have to pitch it back to $20,000 a year and lower, $15,000 to $20,000 a year. When you pitch it into those areas, you're looking at different things for different people. Affordable house to a multi-millionaire could be $5 or $6 million, but an affordable house to somebody on $20,000 a year, if they wanted to purchase it, it would actually have to be under $100,000. That's wherein lies the problem, because we have all these other policies that work together that seem to indicate the growth of the economy. In real terms, affordable housing can only be created, or more affordable housing can only be created, if in fact we take out of the market those people that cause distortions. And the people that cause distortions to the market are the overseas investors who have no intention of living in Australia but only want to purchase Australian housing for whatever reason, because perhaps on the money market and speculation they can seem to make a profit within their own currency and not necessarily in ours. So at the end of the day, we need to, I believe, make sure that housing in Australia is designed for Australian people, and therefore we remove the foreign market. That will put pressure, downward pressure on the price of housing. Of course, one of the other things about housing is you need to have a job somewhere handy. And if you decentralise your employment, you have a greater chance of having a larger area where people can come from, and that would put a downward pressure on prices. But when we actually have so much employment centred around the capital cities, that pushes the prices up. So a good decentralised workforce, a good decentralised economic activity within the country would be very helpful. Of course, one of the other things to counter that, where you do actually have population centres around the place, but you actually have job concentrations in certain areas. High-speed transport is a vital connection to actually bring down the price of housing. And so what we need to have is to move on with a very fast train options. We've been speaking about very fast train options in Australia for a very, very long time. The last federal election, we had the Labor opposition speak about a very fast train between Brisbane and Melbourne, and that service was a ridiculous service because it was not going to get into the centre of the cities. Very fast train services overseas work and work well because they go from the centre of a population centre to another population centre into the heart of the city. For example, you catch from the heart of London, you catch a very fast train to Paris Central Railway Station, right in the heart of Paris. Now, this is how very fast trains work. We could quite easily do that, and I think the best option for a very fast train, and perhaps I am demonstrating a bias on this because I currently live in Newcastle, but I believe the very first very fast train should be connecting the Newcastle airport to the Sydney airport, and that should operate via the Belmont, the entrance, Gosford and the Northern Beaches. Now, the Northern Beaches station, on a very fast train, would actually give a 10-minute running time from the Northern Beaches into the heart of the city. No one would bother about getting their car if all they were going to do is to go to the city to conduct business, to work, or whatever, or entertainment or whatever. They would not want to take their car across the Harbour Bridge or tunnel at a 10-minute connection to the city, providing that all other transport worked well as well, which we need to upgrade and make sure it works. When we do something like that, what we have done is we've moved people from road transport to rail transport. These days we can actually do quite well to have the very fast train mechanisms. We can have that to actually have a medium speed train also operating between stations along the track, bringing people to a centralised station where the very fast train would in fact stop. This technology has been happening overseas in Europe for a long time. There are many options. So we need to look at decentralisation because that's going to bring down housing. We need to look at what we can do about removing the foreign money from the market to get away from them. And we actually have to make sure that the banks are doing the right thing about loans. We have the banking system, we've had an inquiry into it, we've found there's been so much corruption in it, mostly because it is, above all else, it is the people who are involved in those loans are paid by commission. The greater the loan, the greater the money they take home in their wages in the hot little hand. But what we've got to do is bring back responsible borrowing. It is not good to borrow greater than 80% of the value of a house. When we do that, what we're doing, we're putting ourselves into a difficult position. We actually have to remember the more that we own of what we are buying, the less of our wages it takes to continue to make the payments so that we will retain it and not lose it at some time in the future. So one of the other aspects of maintaining accommodation is to actually have a process when a person gets into financial difficulties, that what we do is we monitor and we examine exactly where they go. There are many debt recovery services, there are many debt counselling services that can actually do things, and we need to give people the time, if they get into financial difficulties, the time to be able to trade out, trade through. It may be selling the property, it may mean lots of things, but we need to give them the time. Affordable housing starts from an all-of-government policy to make sure we get the finances right, not just one item. The failure of the direction of both the government and the opposition is to continue to have rising house prices, because that's how they like the economy to go, and to have a percentage of housing to be affordable. Affordable to whom is the big question. Some places where the average cost of a unit is over $600,000, it's considered to be affordable at $400,000. But affordable to whom? They have to be at $400,000. We're looking at housing prices that is going to be affordable to somebody who's earning a wage or income into their household in excess of $80,000 a year to make it affordable. We need to target the people that can't get the home, and not just to make it cheaper for the top end of the market. Affordable housing starts at the foundation, at the beginning, getting the economy right. I'm Milton Kane, Christian Democratic Party.